just for a second. What do you hear? I bet you hear the noise. The endless screaming, clawing, desperate noise of the modern world. The buzz of your phone, a phantom limb you can't stop reaching for. The 24/7 chatter of the television, pumping fear and inadequacy directly into your subconscious. The phantom notifications ringing in your skull even when your screen is dark. And beneath it all, a sound that is 1,000 times louder. The relentless, chaotic, punishing monologue of your own mind. The voice of past failures. The voice of future anxieties. The voice of the inner critic that tells you you're not good enough, not smart enough, not ready. The world is screaming at you. It's screaming for your attention. It's screaming for your outrage. It's screaming for your compliance. It's screaming for you to be anything other than what you are deep down. It's a constant full spectrum assault on your senses and your soul, and it is meticulously designed to do one thing and one thing only, to keep you from ever hearing the only voice that actually matters, your own. And in the middle of this hurricane of manufactured noise, there are certain figures who move differently. They don't scream to be heard. They don't shout for attention. They don't broadcast their every fleeting thought. They move with a different kind of gravity, a quiet power so profound it's deafening to those who know how to listen. And perhaps no one in our modern world embodies this silent power more than the man you see on your screen, Keanu Reeves. You've been sold a story about him, haven't you? A simple, easy to digest story. That he's nice, that he's humble, that he's sad. The world looks at his quietude and labels it with simple, comfortable words because the alternative is too intimidating to comprehend. They are looking at a master swordsman and are only capable of seeing the simple wooden scabbard. They are not seeing the perfectly balanced, razor-sharp steel within. Because what you mistake for sadness is discipline. What you mistake for sadness is a strength so absolute it doesn't need to posture or intimidate. And what you mistake for simplicity is a philosophy so brutally effective it has become his ultimate weapon: silence. I'm not talking about the absence of sound. That's emptiness. I'm talking about a deliberate, strategic, and ruthlessly cultivated practice. Silence as a forge to build an unbreakable will. Silence as a shield to deflect the chaos and negativity of the world. Silence as a weapon to achieve absolute clarity and devastating, world-altering focus. They don't want you to understand this. The system, the machine, it thrives on your noise. It needs you to be reactive. It needs you to be emotionally volatile, a leaf in the wind of public opinion. It needs you to be hopelessly distracted by the digital circus so you never notice the bars of your own cage. A silent man, a focused woman, that is the greatest threat to their control. A person who can command their own mind is a person who cannot be commanded by anyone else. Today, we don't just talk about being quiet. We go to war. We go to war against the noise. We enter the dojo of the mind and we begin to forge the weapon that they cannot see, cannot understand, and cannot defeat. We are going to deconstruct the philosophy of a modern-day warrior who hides his power in the one place no one thinks to look: plain sight. This is not a biography. This is a masterclass in power. So shut off your phone, close your damn tabs, eliminate every possible distraction. The training begins now. The first step in any war is to identify the enemy. And your enemy is not a person. It's not a system. Your primary enemy is the noise, and it attacks you on two fronts, from the outside in and from the inside out. First, the external assault. Understand that the noise you consume is not random. It is a weaponized agent of conformity. Every notification, every like, every controversial headline is engineered by armies of psychologists to hijack your brain's most primitive reward systems. It's a weapon of mass distraction. It's a digital drug, and you are the willing addict trading your potential for another cheap hit. They need you scrolling. They need you swiping. They need you angry about a politician you'll never meet and envious of a celebrity's life that is a carefully constructed fantasy. Why? Because a distracted mind is a controllable mind. A mind fragmented into 1,000 tiny pieces cannot build an empire. It cannot create a masterpiece. It cannot even formulate a coherent plan for its own liberation. It becomes a ship without a rudder, tossed about by the manufactured storms of the daily news cycle. You sit there and you consume. You let the opinions of angry strangers on the internet dictate your mood and your beliefs. You let the relentless fear-mongering of the 24/7 news cycle colonize the precious real estate of your thoughts. You are a puppet and your strings are being pulled by algorithms whose only goal is to sell your attention, your very life force, to the highest bidder. But it's deeper than that, isn't it? It's not just the digital noise, it's the noise of other people's expectations. The deafening roar of what your parents think you should be, what your friends think you should do, what society tells you is a successful life. This noise is insidious because it comes from a place of love, but it can be the most toxic prison of all. It can drown out the quiet whisper of your own soul, the faint calling of your true purpose, until you can't even remember what your own voice sounds like. You live your life based on a script written by someone else, and you wonder why you feel so empty, so fraudulent. You have to see all of this for what it is. It is an invasion, a hostile takeover of your consciousness, and for years you have been leaving the gates to your mind wide open. The warrior's path begins with a declaration of sovereignty. Right now, you must declare your mind a sovereign state, and you are its only king, its only ruler. This means you must become a ruthless border patrol agent. You must inspect every piece of information, every opinion, every expectation that tries to cross your border. You must ask the hard questions. Does this piece of news empower me, or does it make me feel helpless and afraid? Does this social media feed inspire me to build, or does it trick me into a downward spiral of comparison and envy? Does this expectation from someone I love align with my own deepest truth, or is it a cage that I am willingly walking into? This is not a passive act. This is an active, moment-to-moment battle. It means deliberately choosing a book over a news feed. It means choosing a walk in nature to clear your head over a binge watch of a show you won't remember in a week. It means having the guts, the sheer audacity to put your phone on airplane mode for hours at a time so you can finally hear yourself think. This is the first layer of silence. It is the silence of refusal. You refuse to be a willing receptacle for the world's garbage. You refuse to let your mind be a dumping ground for other people's agendas and other people's fears. You refuse to build your life based on someone else's blueprint. This will be brutally hard. Your brain, addicted to the dopamine hits of constant stimulation, will rebel. The silence will feel uncomfortable at first. It will feel like boredom. It will feel like you're missing out. Good. Let it feel that way. Boredom is the soil in which creativity, self-awareness, and true thought grow. You have been so overstimulated for so long that you've forgotten what clarity feels like. You must detox. You must go through withdrawal. You must reclaim your mental territory from the legions of invaders. But that is only the first front of the war. Because even if you locked yourself in a sensory deprivation tank, even if you moved to a cabin in the mountains, you would still face the greatest enemy of all. The noise is not just coming from the outside. The most dangerous broadcast, the most treasonous propaganda is coming from inside the house. It's the internal noise, the traitor within your own skull. It's that voice. You know the one I'm talking about. The one that whispers your deepest fears to you in the dead of night. The one that replays your most embarrassing, cringe-worthy moments on a permanent loop. The one that tells you you're not smart enough, not strong enough, not attractive enough, not worthy enough. The one that screams, "What if you fail?" every single time you contemplate taking a risk. But it's more than that. It's the echoes of past failures. The ghosts of every mistake you've ever made, rattling their chains in the hallways of your mind, reminding you of what went wrong, ensuring you're too terrified to ever try again. You are being haunted by a younger version of yourself, and you are letting that ghost pilot your future. That is the true enemy. That is the noise that keeps you paralyzed, locked in a prison of your own past. It is the engine of your anxiety, the architect of your self-sabotage. So, what is the weapon you use against this internal traitor? How do you exorcise these ghosts? You don't scream back at it. You don't argue with it. You don't try to reason with it. That's like wrestling with a shadow. You only exhaust yourself. You meet it with the most powerful, most annihilating force in the universe. Absolute, crushing silence. The philosophy you see in a man like Keanu Reeves is not about having no negative thoughts. That's a child's fantasy. That's impossible. He is human. The philosophy, the warrior's path, is about changing your relationship with those thoughts. You learn to observe them without becoming them. You learn to see them as clouds passing in the vast open sky of your awareness. You are the sky, not the clouds. The clouds can be dark and stormy, but they cannot harm the sky. They simply pass. This is a practice. It is a discipline. It is a mental martial art. When the voice of doubt starts its venomous broadcast, you don't engage. You step back. You simply observe it with a detached curiosity. You greet it with silence. You give it no energy, no fuel, no argument. You let it scream itself into exhaustion in the vast, empty cathedral of your silent awareness. What happens when you do this consistently? The voice loses its power. The echoes begin to fade. It's like a heckler in a crowd that the performer refuses to acknowledge. Eventually, it gets tired of not getting a reaction and sits down. Your silence starves your demons. It robs your ghosts of their power over you. This is what it means to be stoic. It's not about being emotionless, it's about being the calm, unbreakable center of your own emotional storm. You feel the anger, you feel the fear, you feel the shame of the past, but you do not let it dictate your actions in the present. You create a space between the stimulus and your response. And in that space is your power. In that space is your freedom. That space is silence. So you've begun the battle. You're building your external fortress and you're starving your internal demons. Now you can begin to use silence not just as a defense, but as a devastatingly effective offense. You can start to use it as a tool for mastery and influence in the world. And the first way you do this is by transforming silence into a weapon of strategic observation. The loudest person in the room is almost always the weakest. They are so busy broadcasting their own ego, so desperate for validation, that their senses are turned inward. They are learning nothing. They are revealing all of their own cards, their insecurities, their strategies, their weaknesses, while gaining zero intelligence about anyone else in the game. The silent one is the one with the power. Think of Keanu in interviews. He is famous for his long, deliberate pauses. An interviewer asks a provocative question, and he doesn't just vomit out the first canned reactive answer that comes to mind. He waits, he observes, he thinks. In that silence, he is not just formulating a response, he is reading the entire situation. He is controlling the tempo and the frame of the interaction. He is forcing everyone else to operate on his timeline. The person who is more comfortable with silence in any interaction is the person who holds the power, period. You must learn to do this. You have been programmed to believe that silence in a conversation is awkward. That is a lie they taught you to keep you talking, to keep you revealing things you shouldn't. Silence is a vacuum, and the other person's undisciplined ego will almost always rush to fill it. In your next negotiation, when they give you an offer, don't say a word. Don't even nod. Just sit there, look at them with calm, neutral intensity. Let the silence hang in the air. Let it become heavy, almost uncomfortable. I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, they will start talking again. They will start justifying their offer. They will start sweetening the deal. They will start negotiating against themselves. Your silence becomes a pressure cooker for their insecurity. It is a weapon. In your next argument, when someone is attacking you with angry words, instead of firing back, instead of defending your ego, just hold their gaze. Let them finish their entire tirade, and when they're done, panting with their own rage, just let the silence sit there for 3 long beats. That silence is a mirror. It forces them to hear the echo of their own foolishness, their own aggression. It robs them of the fight they are so desperately trying to start. It communicates a level of self-control that is infuriating and deeply intimidating to an undisciplined mind. This is a superpower in a world of hyper-reactive children in adult bodies. The person who can remain a calm, silent observer is playing 3-dimensional chess while everyone else is flipping the checkers board over in a rage. You stop reacting to the world on impulse and you start responding to it with lethal strategy. You watch, you listen, not just with your ears, but with your full attention. You learn to read the subtle cues, the body language, the hesitations, the things that are not being said. You become a student of human nature, a detective of the soul. This is the path of the hunter, the sniper, the master strategist. Let everyone else make noise and reveal their position. You will remain silent, hidden, observing the entire battlefield until the perfect moment to act. And when you do act, your action will be precise, devastating, and brutally effective because it was born from the cold wisdom of silence, not the hot foolishness of impulse. But this level of strategic observation requires a foundation. And that foundation is built by taking your silence to the next level. by turning it inward and using it to wage a relentless, merciless war on the greatest source of internal noise there is, your own ego. True power does not need to announce itself. A lion does not need to roar to prove it is a lion. Its presence, its quiet confidence is enough. The desperate clawing need to be seen, to be heard, to be validated, to get the credit is the ultimate sign of weakness. And the weapon you use to kill that neediness is silence. Look at the example. A man worth hundreds of millions of dollars, a global icon, photographed taking the subway, secretly funding children's hospitals, giving away tens of millions of his earnings to the film crews, the stuntmen, the people behind the scenes who rarely get the glory, carrying his own equipment, treating every single person on set, from the most famous director to the newest production assistant, with the same quiet, unwavering respect. The world calls this humility and niceness. The warrior calls it ego, annihilation. It is a deliberate, strategic dismantling of the weakest part of yourself. Your ego is the voice in your head that tells you you are special, that you are better than others, that you deserve more recognition. It's the part of you that craves likes on social media as if they were oxygen. It's the part that gets road rage. It's the part that feels the pathological need to correct people in conversations and win every pointless argument. The ego is a hungry ghost, and the more you feed it with attention and validation, the more it demands. It is the single greatest obstacle to your growth, your learning, and your power. Because the ego cannot learn. The ego already believes it knows everything. The ego cannot build true, powerful relationships because it sees other people as either tools for its own validation or obstacles to its own glory. The ego cannot handle failure because it sees failure as a personal insult to its own fragile, imagined greatness. You must kill it, you must starve it, and you starve it with silence. When you accomplish something great, you will feel the ego swell in your chest. It will demand that you go and tell everyone, that you post about it, that you seek applause. You must resist this urge. You must meet it with silence. Let the quality of your work be your only spokesman. True masters do not need to boast. Their results speak for them, and their results are deafening. There is a profound, unshakable power in doing great things and then simply moving on to the next task without needing anyone to pat you on the back. This is the joy of being anonymous in your own success. When someone insults you, criticizes you, or underestimates you, your ego will scream for blood. It will demand that you defend yourself, that you attack back, that you prove them wrong. You must resist. You must meet their noise with your silence. Your silence is a shield of diamond. It communicates that their opinion is so insignificant, so utterly irrelevant to your reality, that it doesn't even warrant a response. It shows that your self-worth is not built on their validation, but on an internal foundation of solid rock. You are the mountain. They are just the wind. This is a brutal daily discipline. It is the practice of choosing to be a nobody, to move through the world without needing applause, to do the right thing when absolutely no one is watching, to find satisfaction not in the external reward, but in the internal knowledge of a job well done. This is the source of true, unshakable strength. A person with a small, controlled ego is unstoppable. They cannot be baited. They cannot be flattered. They cannot be manipulated. They are free. They move with a lightness and an efficiency that the ego-bound person can never comprehend. Their actions are clean, precise, and powerful because they are not contaminated by the toxic sludge of insecurity. They act from a place of purpose, not a place of posturing. Starve your ego, let it wither and die in the vast, unforgiving desert of your silence. And from its ashes will rise your true self, the quiet, unbreakable, powerful warrior who needs no validation because their strength is self-evident. And with this annihilated ego, you can now enter the final chamber of mastery. You can enter the forge, because with the external world silenced and the internal ego slain, you can finally achieve the state where all true mastery is born. You can use your silence to create a sacred space for deep work, the forge of focus. Look at the man. Look at the relentless dedication. For the Matrix, he trained for months, reshaping his body, learning complex martial arts until it was second nature. For John Wick, he became a true master of firearms and tactical combat, training with the world's most elite special forces operators, not to look good on camera, but to become the character. This level of skill, this embodiment of a craft, is not acquired casually. It is not achieved by someone who is distracted by their phone and social media. It is forged in the dojo of silence. This is where you go from being a student of the philosophy to becoming a living master of your craft. You must learn to create vast, uninterrupted blocks of time where the world cannot reach you, a state that some call monk mode. This is not a suggestion. This is your sacred duty to your own potential. For 2, 3, 4, even 5 hours a day, you disappear from the world. You turn off your phone and you put it in another room. You disconnect the internet. You lock your door. It is just you and your mission, you and the task at hand. In this sacred silence, you are not just working, you are creating. You are pushing the boundaries of your own skill. You are engaging in the deliberate, painful, focused practice that separates the good from the great and the great from the legendary. The modern world is terrified of this. It wants you to multitask. It wants you to be available 24/7. This is a lie to keep you mediocre. Multitasking is a myth. It is simply the act of doing multiple things poorly with a fragmented and shallow mind. True genius, in any field, flows from sustained, single-pointed, obsessive concentration. Here's a new rule for you. A vow for the silent warrior. You take a vow of silence about your goals. Stop talking about the great things you are going to do. Talking about your goals provides a cheap, premature sense of satisfaction that tricks your brain into feeling like you've already accomplished something. It dissipates the very energy, the very creative tension you need to actually do the work. Be the person who works in absolute silence and then lets the world be shocked by the result. Don't show them your plans, show them your results. In the forge of silence, you will build your empire, you will write your book, you will master your skill, you will solve the problems that have been plaguing you for years. Because your brain, finally freed from the constant bombardment of distraction, can finally do what it was designed to do: think deeply, connect disparate ideas, and create elegant, powerful solutions. This process is not easy. It will feel like a war. Your mind, addicted to the drug of constant stimulation, will try to rebel. You will feel the urge to check your phone, to open a new tab, to find any excuse to escape the profound discomfort of deep focus. You must be a warrior. You must be ruthless with yourself. You must hold the line. Each time you resist the urge for distraction, you are strengthening your focus muscle. You are forging your mind into a tool of immense power and precision. The fruits of this practice are not just external success. The act of achieving deep focus is a reward in itself. It is a meditative state. It is where you lose yourself in the work and find a profound sense of fulfillment that no amount of cheap entertainment can ever provide. The rich and powerful of the world understand this. They do not spend their days in a flurry of emails and reactive meetings. They protect their time for deep work with the jealousy of a dragon guarding its hoard. Their calendar is not a reflection of what others demand of them. It is a weaponized reflection of their own deepest priorities. You must do the same. Your time is your life, and your focus time is the sharpest edge of that life. Do not waste it on shallow tasks. Do not allow it to be stolen by the demands of others. Build your forge, enter it daily, and in the sacred silence, build a life of mastery, build a legacy, and you will need that mastery, because as you build, the world will push back. As you succeed, you will face storms, you will face criticism, you will face setbacks, you will face the brutal, indiscriminate nature of tragedy. And to survive, to endure, to prevail, you must learn to use silence as your final, unbreakable defense. You must use it as the shield of resilience. Life is going to hit you. Let's be clear about that. It is going to hit you with tragedies you cannot imagine. It is going to hit you with betrayals that will steal the air from your lungs. It is going to test you in fire and in ice. Look at the life of the man we are studying. He has faced profound personal loss, public scrutiny, and the crushing pressures of global fame with a quiet, unwavering dignity that is almost superhuman. Where does that strength come from? It comes from a philosophy forged in the crucible of real-world hardship. It is the Stoic ideal, and its greatest shield is a controlled, silent response to the chaos of the world. It comes from building an unbreachable core. Think of yourself as a castle. Most people live their lives on the outer walls, exposed to every attack. An insult hits, they crumble. A setback occurs, they surrender. The warrior understands that the outer walls will inevitably be breached. The true strength is in the inner keep, the unbreachable core of the castle. This core is your values, your principles, your purpose. Silence is the practice of retreating to that inner keep during a storm. Instead of reacting from the crumbling outer walls, you go inward to your center and you consult your deepest self. When adversity strikes, the average person reacts. They scream, they cry, they complain on social media, they lash out. Their reaction is noisy, emotional, and undisciplined. And in this noisy reaction, they give away all of their power. They show the world, and more importantly, they show the adversity that it has broken them. The warrior does not react. The warrior responds, and that response is almost always born in silence. When criticism comes, you do not engage in a noisy battle of words. You meet it with a calm, discerning silence. In that silence, you retreat to your inner keep. You ask, is this criticism valid? Is there a lesson here I can learn to become better? If yes, you absorb the lesson in silence and adjust your course. You have used the enemy's attack to fortify your own defenses. If the criticism is not valid, if it is just the noise of a hater, your silence is a shield of diamond that deflects their poison. It communicates that their words cannot reach your inner keep. You remain the mountain, they remain the wind. When tragedy strikes, you allow yourself the sacred space of silence to grieve, to process, to feel. You do not deny the pain, but you do not let your pain become a public spectacle that defines you. Your quiet endurance becomes a source of immense strength, both for yourself and for those around you. You show the world that you can be wounded, but your core cannot be broken. This is the practice of the Stoic pause. When something happens, good or bad, you train yourself not to react immediately. You create a space. In that space, you breathe. You observe the initial wave of emotion. You detach from it. And then from that place of calm, centered power within your inner keep, you choose your response. This is the ultimate freedom. The freedom from your own emotional volatility. The world will try to provoke you. Your enemies will try to bait you into a noisy, foolish reaction. Your own fears will try to send you into a panic. Your shield is your ability to remain the calm center of the storm. They want you to be a leaf in the wind, blown about by every drama, every crisis, every opinion. But you will be the mountain, solid, grounded, unbreakable. Your strength will not be in the noise you make, but in the storms you can silently endure. This is the ultimate weapon. It is a shield that cannot be broken, a fortress that cannot be breached. It is the quiet, immovable strength of a soul that has found its unbreachable core and refuses to be moved. And so the training is complete. The weapon is forged. You have learned to silence the external world, to build a fortress against its noise and expectations. You have learned to silence your internal demons, to starve the traitor of your own doubt and the ghosts of your past. You have learned to use that silence to become a master observer, a strategist who sees all. You have used it to annihilate the ego, the source of all weakness. You have used it to enter the forge of deep work and build your mastery. And you have learned to use it as an unbreakable shield of resilience, retreating to your unbreachable core against the storms of life. The weapon is in your hands. Now you must wield it. You must wield it in your career. Be the one in the meeting who speaks last and least. Let everyone else exhaust themselves and then deliver the one quiet, insightful point that changes the entire direction of the conversation. Be the one who works with a quiet, relentless focus that produces results so profound they render all boasting unnecessary. In your next job interview, when they ask you a tough question, don't rush to answer. Pause, take a breath, let the silence build. It shows confidence, not uncertainty. You must wield it in your relationships. Be the one who can truly listen, not just waiting for your turn to talk, but listening to understand. Be the one who can absorb an emotional outburst from a loved one with calm, de-escalating the conflict instead of fueling its fire with your own reactive noise. Your silent presence will become a sanctuary for the people you care about. You must wield it in your own life. When you wake up before the noise of the world floods in, spend 10 minutes in absolute silence, not on your phone, not planning, just you and your breath. Set the tone for your day from a place of center, not a place of chaos. Before you go to sleep, spend another 10 minutes in silence. processing the day, consciously letting go of what needs to go so you don't carry yesterday's battles into tomorrow's dawn. This is not a passive existence. This is the path of the warrior monk, the silent professional, the quiet leader whose power is felt, not heard. The world is screaming for your attention. It is desperate for you to join its chorus of outrage, anxiety, and distraction. It is begging you to be just another noisy, reactive, powerless soul. Today, you have a choice. You can continue to live in the noise, a puppet whose strings are pulled by algorithms and headlines. Or you can begin the disciplined, difficult, and profoundly rewarding practice of cultivating silence. You can remain a leaf in the wind, or you can become the mountain. The path is not easy. The world will test your resolve. Your own mind will fight back. But every time you choose silence over noise, you are casting a vote. You are casting a vote for clarity, for strength, for freedom, for power. This video is about to end, and the noise is waiting for you. It's lurking in your notifications. It's waiting on your television. It's hiding in the anxious thoughts in your own mind. What will you do? Will you let it win? Or will you take your first stand right now? I challenge you to take this oath, this pledge to yourself. I will no longer be a slave to the noise. I am the sovereign of my mind. My silence is my sanctuary, my shield, and my weapon. I will move with purpose, not impulse. I will build in silence and let my results be the only noise I make. Take that pledge and then act on it. When this video ends, don't just click on the next one. Take a deep breath and just sit for 5 minutes in absolute silence and make a conscious decision about what your next action will be, based not on impulse or addiction, but on the quiet wisdom you've just begun to cultivate. The world is full of people who talk about the life they want. Be the one who builds it in silence. Let them have the noise. You will have the power.